Well, good evening, fellow explorers. Mr. Joe, how are you tonight?
Good, good, good. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. Nice background. I like that.
A little heavenly uh, perspective in here
Yeah,
on my back a little bit.
yeah, it looks like it. Nice and well, compared to what's been going on in the world, that's nice and bright. It's nice and Shambhala-ish or whatever you want to call it.
Look, it kind of gives you a glimpse to show what we have to look forward to. I guess
There you
after all this craziness goes on.
So, how you doing today? What's going on? What's new? What's happening?
Oh man, everything is good, and it's funny. I do deliveries now at the Jersey Shore, and so as I was doing my deliveries, I caught a glimpse of a military plane over the coast, flying over the coast. I don't know what's going on the Jersey Shore, but it seems like there's some military activity going on.
Seems to be a common thread.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard people were saying, talking about a lot of military ships off the coast and everything, but I guess it's still going on. I mean, they're up to something.
Yeah, they got to keep busy too.
Yeah, exactly. they gotta keep busy too. Hey, look, the war it's going to this part of it is almost finished, and then the next part of it is just really going to be helping people to cope with what has been going on all these thousands of years that they find out about, and so we got to prepare for that.
Especially when they find out about giants, which
coincidentally
is the show topic for tonight for those of you that have just tuned in
or
are going to be watching. Giants is kind of one of those things like Antarctica. It's there's a lot going on with it. There's, for centuries and centuries, if not millennia, people have been talking about giants, and I'll let Joe kind of go into this part of it, but biblically speaking, we've got giants, and Sumeria, any time in the ancient past, we've got a lot of references to giants. So why don't we start with the biblical references, if you got them?
Oh yeah, well, of course, I got that.
I know I was being facetious.
But it's just funny because they were never talked about by the preachers. The majority, I would say, or the common preachers.
Right.
There were very few that talked about giants, I'm sure. In the past, I mean, I'm sure now there's more preachers talking about it, but in the past, 20 to 30 years ago, there wasn't too much talk about that. I think that's one of the things that, they had to keep hidden, to try to not scare people away from the Bible, I guess. I don't know, but it's the first talk about giants is right in Genesis chapter 6.
Yep.
There's that number 6. Genesis chapter 6, and I'm going to read there, and it says, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Now, these sons of God, which a lot of people get this mixed up, these are a type of angels.
Were those Nephilim? Is that what you're speaking of?
Now, all right, I'm going to tell you what type of they were fallen angels. All right, this is how they fell, and these angels were let's see if I have, these would have been, which is a son, a builder. All right, these were the same sons of God that were talked about in Job. When we look in Job, it talks about how the sons of God, they came before God, and of course Satan was with them. I think it's the Ben Elohim. So these are the Ben Elohim, sons of God, which are the angels that were also in Job that came before God, and Satan was also with them. He came during the time they came because he's a angelic seraphim, or a type of angelic. He's type of angel. Gotcha. All right, and it says the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. And then it says, look, verse 3, then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. And now verse 4, the Nephilim. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward. Okay, what are the Nephilim? The word Nephilim actually means giants. Mm-hmm. All right, when you look at that word in the Bible, the word Nephilim actually means giant. All right, part of that word is bully. All right, so these giants were giant bullies. Okay,
Goliath was a giant bully.
Goliath, there he is, an example of a giant bully, right? So they were giant bullies. So the giant bullies were on the earth in those days. All right, they were there in those days, and also afterward. All right. So they were there in those days because they found women, the daughters of men, and they took unto them wives. There's of course, kind of a debate about, the angels having sex with women, how the angels gonna have sex with women, and this and stuff like that.
Right.
That's neither here nor there. As we know, these daughters of men that were wives of these fallen angels, they had children from these fallen angels. All right. And so the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God, right? This is what happened when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. All right. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. And the men of old, now what they're talking about is like the men of old that were talked about. Of course, nowadays we talk about, like Zeus and, the different other Greek gods. Right. These mighty men that did, had all kinds of special strength and special abilities and all these things. They were the children of these fallen angels and these women. All right. And so this is how giants came onto the earth. All right. Now later on, I'm sure you'll talk about it, how these giants, of course, in the flood, a lot of the giants, I'm gonna say, because even after the flood, we see that they were still giants. A lot of those giants that perished in the flood, became, of course, demons that roam the earth, and possess people and all that other stuff. Those spirits actually used to be giants. And so but I want to talk about how the giants came into play, and then we could talk more about everything else, because I'm sure you're going to bring up the book of Giants, which talks about, which is another book outside of the, book of Enoch and all the other ones, how they talk about the giants. But I just want to set the foundation of how these giants came to pass, and the fact that giants were real and they are real.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm going to leave the book of Giants to you at some point, but I have a lot of references to that, and there's actually a lot of, just in air quotes, books on giants too, which I'm going to touch on a couple of them here. And in the ancient world, I want to say in Sumeria, which was maybe 700 BC-ish, somewhere in there, maybe longer. You've got a pretty famous image. Let's see here. Of Enki and Gilgamesh. And if you notice, and the reason I say it's kind of a famous image is that the image of Gilgamesh on the right is clutching an adult lion to him.
Wow.
And so the Sumerians always referred to, Gilgamesh and Enki, all of their quote unquote leaders, gods, whatever you want to call them. reference them as being giants. So I've always loved this picture because it's a really good visual representation of the fact that these people, you know, back in ancient times, people depicted things that they either wanted to embellish or worship, or things that they actually saw. Right. So the fact that, you know, Gilgamesh is standing there clutching an adult lion to him is kind of telling to me. You know, it's just it's wow. Like why would you make a sculpture with some, you know, with one of your gods clutching a lion? You know, it's just right. To me that just says, hey, look, we have giants protecting us. We've got these large beings that are looking out for our well-being, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And a little segue. Thanks to all of you that are watching, that are the 3 of you that are actually watching right now, and whoever will be watching this. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time to spend it with us for about an hour or so. And bless you guys. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Also, don't be afraid to pop in the chat if you want. You know, we like interaction. We like, you know, we're trying to get more people involved here. We're trying to, you know, so eventually some of these shows will be kind of self-sustaining, where we're having conversations with the live chat as opposed to presenting our own stuff. And so anyway, just had to get that out of the way. And oh, thank you, Margot Martian. I like that name.
Yeah, cool. That's real nice. Thanks for watching.
So back on to giants here. Mm-hmm. We always preface everything we talk about with do your own research, believe what you want to believe. You know, we're not trying to force anything on people. We're just having fun here. We're just presenting things that we enjoy talking about, or, and I'm not going to say we're wholeheartedly believing in some of the stuff we're going to present, but we both, I'm pretty sure, especially with Joe's statement, I'm pretty sure there's giants and there have been giants. Yeah. And to what extent, I don't know, but there are a lot of fakery going on. There's some Photoshop stuff going on out there. But there are a lot of documented things.
Yes, they are.
Before the internet, you know, before the interweb, and before people really became attention mongers, like they wanted their 15 minutes of fame or whatever, you know, like your Loch Ness monster kind of people. But I think I want to start with, let's see here, just because we've already talked about it, might as well throw David and Goliath on there.
Oh, there you go.
So what's the story with Goliath, biblically speaking?
What's the story of Goliath?
Yeah, what's Goliath's backstory? What is what led to his downfall?
Well,
doesn't have to be specific, you know, just kind of general.
What led to his downfall was the bullying. And see that I think that's what led to the downfall of all the giants, of being so, you know, arrogant. And I believe in the Book of Giants, I believe there was a war between the giants, and you know, most of them kind of slayed each other, which is another example of arrogance and bullying, trying to rule, you know, and rule the world, rule the earth. But God never intended for giants to rule the earth. He intended for his children. All right. Remember that the giants were, they came from fallen angels that came into women, you know, so it was a type of hybrid, a Nephilim, right, which is a hybrid. And they try to rule the world, you know, pretty much. And that was their downfall.
That's funny because a lot of stories, I'm not gonna say every story, but a lot of stories about giants seem to have that common thread that they were bullies, and that there was always a war. They were always fought against. Like, I want to say out in the southwest of the United States, there's there's some lore about some red-headed giants that lived in these mountains or in this area, and they attacked this specific group of Native Americans, and they were their food. Like they'd come and they'd eat these people, and so they got fed up with it, and so they eventually burned down their cave. Like they kept retreating because these Native Americans kept beating them back, and eventually they ended up in this cave where a lot of these skeletons were found, and they built like this giant fire at the entrance of the cave and killed them all, basically. Wow. So yeah, common thread with the bullying kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, I think that was their biggest downfall. And while you were saying that, I'm thinking of the story that I think it was L.A. Marzulli, when he was talking about the giants, and he actually has all the documentation on the military fighting the one giant in, I think it was Afghanistan.
Yeah, I saw that. Actually, that just popped up on my Telegram feed a couple days ago or whatever. It was like an SEAL or something like that, and he was talking about their experience in this tunnel or this cave or whatever, and it was kind of harrowing. If I can't even imagine being put in that position, but
oh man, if Kandahar, the Kandahar giant,
okay,
and he gave the story. L.A. Marzulli talks about the story. If any of you guys who don't know L.A. Marzulli, search him on YouTube. He has a lot of good things, and he's biblically based, and he is a believer in Christ. And but he was the one that really brought out a lot about the Nephilim, and he has pictures, and they have documentation. And there's another preacher he actually passed away, Neville Johnson. He actually had some pictures of giants as well, that of course he couldn't disclose or anything like that. But they were redhead. They had 6 fingers on each hand, and this L.A. Marzulli talks about the incident with the Kandahar giant, with the Navy SEALs and everything. And he actually, of course, interviewed one of those SEALs, like you were saying. And it was a very, very good interview. And it was just like, wow. I mean, these guys, they said the way this giant maneuvered, his agility and everything to be so big, it was just like, they never seen anything that big move like that. And of course, some of the Navy SEALs got killed. Right. And it was really an experience that really shook them. I mean, the guy who was doing the interview, the SEAL that was doing the interview, part of the interview, he was crying a little bit because it was just really that intense,
It's funny that you mentioned that the early church didn't want to have any of that information kind of pop out into the public, because I have something which we'll go over here in a bit that talks about a court case that deals with the Smithsonian hiding a bunch of information about giants because they didn't want it to get out in the mainstream because it went against their narrative with Darwin and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So there's for whatever reason, a lot of people they don't like them bullies, man. They don't want them out. They don't want them out in the public.
Yeah. Well, if you ask me, I think they're trying to recreate the giant. I think they're trying to do the same thing that happened in the past again. And I'm talking about the evil, demonic, fallen angels are trying to do that again.
Right.
And
yes, I agree with that.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, if they try to do that now. Of course, now I'm sure, the white hats are kind of destroying a lot of, their machines and ways of trying to make that, because, as we know, the war's already won. It's just now getting all the little people. But I believe they were probably trying to raise those giants back up again.
Oh yeah, if you think about it, even just without even referring to giants specifically, the human race has gotten taller over time. Even 100 years ago, people were much, much shorter. And look at even like, I don't want to call them freaks because they're not freaks. I hate to call anybody a freak, but there's been some really tall people. Really tall people, like 10, 11 feet tall that
Oh
are,
yeah.
legit human beings, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
there's let's see here. I've got a clip.
Okay.
It's called 8 Occasions When Giant Human Skeletons were Discovered. And it's a real short clip here. So it's. That's my favorite picture. Whether it's real or not, I don't know, but I love that picture.
Yeah, I remember that one. Wow, that looks real.
And that's the other thing too. There's a lot of references to a lot of these giants having elongated skulls. In addition to like 6 fingers and other kind of interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I remember that picture from somewhere. Wow.
So
well, just looking at the Afghanistan one, I remember watching the Discovery Channel. I believe it was probably last month or something. It was either Discovery Channel or the History Channel, and they did a documentary on. They called them the Giants because they were real tall people, and it was like they were interviewing this family that everybody was tall. I mean, the husband, the wife, everybody were tall, and they called them giants because they were like 7 to 8 feet tall. And I'm like, whoa, and like you said, there's been a lot of tall people within the past, I would say 5 to 10 years popping up.
Yes, there is. I mean, I should bring up this chart here. I got this. I found a bunch of stuff. I've read some of his stuff, his blog. His name's Chris Thompson. So I do have a lot of stuff from Chris Thompson in here. And he popped this chart onto his website. And let's see if we can read that. Like that one on the far right there, 36 feet tall is that skeleton from 650 BC to 640 AD. Let's see, from Carthaginians uncovered, to this size. An earthquake in Samorian Bosphorus uncovered one more. 25 and a half feet in 1613 in France near the castle of Chaumont, nearly a complete skeleton.
Wow.
23 feet, 1456 in France, also same area in Valence. Let's see. So you can see even modern humans average 6 feet, and you've got 15 feet in Turkey, 9 feet in Rome, 11 feet Goliath, our bully friend.
Yeah.
I don't know where they came up. Does it say that in chapter 17, verse 4? Do you know?
What about him being a bully?
About his height?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know if that's a reference to his height or just a reference to where he appeared. It might be a reference to where he appeared.
Yeah. Okay. Got Goliath of Gath. Wait, here it is. Whose height was 6 cubits and a span. I don't know what that is, but let's see.
Maybe it's half a foot.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe I'm going to look at whose height was 6. Okay. Come on.
Welcome everybody that's just joined.
Death Sea Scroll. 6 cubits. 18 inches or 45 centimeters. What? I don't know. Whatever height is 6 cubits and a span. That's all.
He was a big dude.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
A big bully. So as you can see from this chart, these are the documented ones anyway. For anywhere from modern humans at 6 feet all the way up to 36 feet. And from also Mr. Thompson, let's see, I want to, because he mentions a few areas where giants have been known to exist or have been documented to exist. And
okay, so Goliath was 9 feet tall.
Okay.
He was the 9-footer.
Hello, Luann, and everybody else that has just joined. So he says, in his blog, in Ecuador, and you can see the reference of the woman standing next to the statue.
Oh, wow.
Or not statue, but skeleton.
The actual skeleton.
Yeah, in 2013, after heavy storms in Ecuador, a large female skull was found in Aloha province. Scientists determined the skull was approximately 600 years old. The discovery of the skull inspired a search for the rest of the skeleton, the parts of which were found and assembled a few weeks later. The skeleton stood 7 feet 4 inches tall, which was astounding considering that the average height of a woman in those days was only 5'8". Further research led to the discovery of 5 more giant skeletons in the same area. All of the skeletons were between 7 and 8 feet tall and were buried in deep, elaborate graves. They were found in 2 separate sites, leading scientists to conclude they were probably from 2 different tribes. And I think this continues here. Let's see. Yes. And it says the remains of a much larger giant were found in Ecuador in 1964, which is the one she was standing next to. Father Carlos Vaca, a priest who worked with hospitals, was called upon to examine some strange bones found in the mountainous area. Vaca determined, I apologize if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, determined the bones were human despite being incredibly large. The bones were taken to Austrian artifact researcher Klaus Dona, who allowed several experts to view the bones. They all came to the same conclusion. They all belonged to a human who likely would have been over 25 feet tall. They also concluded that the bones were over 10,000 years old.
Wow.
Bam.
Wow.
That's what I say. But that's one area. I mean, there's literally references to giants almost everywhere in the world. And coincidentally, the United States has a ton of references to giants. A ton.
Yeah.
I was blown away by how many references there are to giants in North America. And because we know the Native Americans, that's how they passed on traditions and history, was verbally and in cave paintings and in the rituals and that kind of stuff. And well, I mean, if you talk with the Indians, the Native Americans, they have stories that are passed down, through all these years. And I mean, they have stories about how the giants used to run down the bison and catch the bison and for food, they would hunt them down and catch them. I mean, this is like, how these giants moved and how fast they were and everything. And when you talk to the Native Americans, of course, they don't tell too many people, but, I know there was an account of some people who have talked to them and they told them stories about, they called them sky walkers or cloud walkers or something like that, because they were giants that were so tall, they went into like the clouds or whatever. Right. And these people were used to giants because, Sasquatch was a buddy of theirs too, not as big as these other bullies, but Sasquatch wasn't portrayed as a bully. So they must not have been true giants,
Right.
They've always been portrayed as being pretty friendly, for that matter. Let's see.
Oh, also too, Vietnam War.
Yes. Yep.
There have been talks about, how some of the troops and soldiers that were in Vietnam would see some of the kids with these huge skulls on their bikes, trying to bring these skulls home, and story of another story of the Nephilim, stuff that has been covered up, from people in America. Vietnam was another example of finding giants, and stuff like that.
Yeah, since we're talking about covering stuff up, I got the Smithsonian thing here.
Oh, nice.
It says, over the last 100+ years, thousands of giant skeletons have been found throughout the world, especially in the American Midwest. So where is the evidence? One way or another, the Smithsonian Institute quickly caught wind of most of these giant findings and made the evidence disappear, in quotes. In most cases, those who exhumed the giant skeletons reported their findings immediately to the Smithsonian, naively trusting the Institute to do what was in the public interest. Apparently, the Smithsonian's concept of in the public interest includes protecting Darwin's theory of evolution and the established historical narrative at all costs. In other words, lying to the public, which we're kind of experiencing right now, but in different areas. In August of 2015, a U.S. Supreme Court ruling forced the Smithsonian Institute to admit that it had been covering up and destroying tens of thousands of giant skeletal remains since the early 1900s. The case against the Smithsonian was made by the American Institution of Alternative Archaeology. And the irrefutable evidence came from whistleblowers from within the Smithsonian, who admitted to the existence of documents that allegedly proved the destruction of tens of thousands of human skeletons reaching between 6 and 12 feet in height. A reality mainstream archaeology cannot admit to for various reasons. Let's see, a spokesman, James Sherwood, explained, there has been a major cover-up by Western archaeological institutions since the early 1900s to make us believe that America was first colonized by Asian peoples migrating through the Bering Strait 15,000 years ago, when in fact there are hundreds of thousands of burial mounds all over America with natives claim were there a long time before them, and that show traces of highly developed civilization, complex use of metal alloys, and where giant human skeleton remains are frequently found but still go unreported in the media and news outlets. And just as I'm reading, you can see in that picture that femur, that leg bone that dude's holding there. A turning point of the court case was when a 1.3 meter long human femur bone was shown as evidence in court of the existence of such giant human bones. The evidence came as a blow to the Smithsonian's lawyers, as the bone had been stolen from the Smithsonian by one of their high-level curators in the mid-1930s, who had kept the bone in all his life, and which had admitted on his deathbed in writing to the uncover operations of the Smithsonian. So bad Smithsonian. Shame on you. What else are you hiding? It is a terrible thing that is being done to the American people, he wrote in the letter. We are hiding the truth about the forefathers of humanity, our ancestors, the giants who roamed the earth as recalled in the Bible and ancient texts of the world. So there you go. Bam. Yes, Luann, I have watched Trey Smith's video, God in a Nutshell. He's got a lot of videos. It's almost impossible to keep up with all his stuff. But yes, I like Trey's work. I like his style. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I have to check him out. I don't think I've ever heard of him.
Trey also did the Trump video, the Trump and the Kim Clement prophecy.
Oh, okay. He did the voiceover in it?
No, he actually did right before Trump was elected. He did this video on Kim Clement's prophecy of Trump.
Okay.
And that video just went viral after Trump got elected because his family is, from what I remember, is Democrat, and he made this video based on Kim Clement's prophecy about Trump, and it's a really good video. I love watching. That's actually kind of what got me involved in some of this, was that video, and he knows his stuff. He really dials in and he does his research. He's a fun guy to watch.
Nice.
Let's see. I don't know, again, the source of this or how real it is, but one of my favorite images has always been the image of an unearthed giant at a dig with a serpent wrapped around it, a serpent skeleton wrapped around it. It's always been like my favorite. Hold on, let me start this video. It's a short video here. Okay. Shorter. Oops. Technical difficulties here. Hold on a sec. Okay. So this was in Thailand in a cave, and this is in what appeared to be a 20-foot tall giant man was discovered right next to the remains of what appeared to be a giant serpent. And you'll see in the picture here. So it says, yeah, I'll let you read it. That's fine. I'm not going to read it.
Wow.
It's hard to see in this angle, but you can see, like, here's like the end of the snake or the serpent. It kind of wraps.
Yeah, all the way around the body.
Yep. And while we're on the subject, if anybody knows Trey Smith, I've tried to get a hold of him. If anybody knows him, tell him we want him on the show.
Yes, that would be awesome.
So this is I got from Miko TV. I try to give credit where I can.
Nice.
So take that for what you will. Like I said, there's all kinds of images floating around on the internet. If you search giant human skeletons, if you search Nephilim, if you search just giants, you're going to get the football team. I guarantee it. So you got to use skeleton or something in there, or ancient or something. But I always enjoy these photos, whether, like I said, whether they're real or not, I have no clue. And
they look absolutely real, though. Some of those images look very authentic.
Yeah,
that one on the
especially
top.
the ones that are parted, documented digs and that kind of thing.
Right.
Like this one on top, I can't remember if that was in the southwest United States. This one is somewhere in the United States, but I don't know where. But it's interesting that let's see where I had another one here. Where is it? There. This was in Montana. Let's see here in 76. You can see the dude squatting down right there.
Yeah.
Next to the skeleton here. Doesn't say how big it is, at least from what I can tell and what I'm reading here. But I don't know how long or how these sticks are measured. But this whatever skeleton is also kind of sort of in a fetal position too. So
it looks like it.
So that's a big mamma jamma right there.
Oh yeah.
And then, you've got this one in Romania, supposedly in Romania.
Oh wow.
Oops.
Oh yeah, that one. I remember that picture.
Like I said, take those for what you will. There's this also in South Africa. There's a couple things that popped up. This is also from Chris Thompson.
Okay.
Says one of the most famous giant footprints was found outside Maputo, South Africa. It was found 100 years ago by a hunter. The locals named it the footprint of God. And I have a picture of it here coming up. The print is 1.2 meters long, and the rest of the body was sized in proportion to the foot. The giant that made it would have been between 24 and 27 feet tall. The footprint is in granite, one of the hardest rocks on Earth. And then there are no chisel marks around it, meaning that whatever made the print must have stepped in the rock while it was still molten. It is estimated that the print could be anywhere from 200 million to 3 billion years old. If the correct age is at the upper end of the scale, the print was made when supposedly the only life on Earth was microbial life. But even at the lower end of the scale, it could not have been made by any human ancestor that we know of. Let's see, around the world, there have been similar footprints found in embedded age-old rock. In San Jose, a 2.5 meter footprint was found near a local ranch. Whatever made it would have towered over even the giant from Mapalooza. In the same city, another 1.5 meter footprint was found on a cliff. Let's see, in August of 2016 in China, a series of footprints was discovered with each print nearly 2 feet long and indented nearly 3 centimeters into solid rock. Scientists have calculated that whatever made the prints would have to be over 13 feet tall. Here's an image of that footprint, that first one we were talking about.
Wow. Look at that.
Yep. In 1912, a 4-foot long print was unearthed in South Africa, which is this one, that was dated at over 200 million years old. So 27 foot. That's crazy.
That is. Look, I mean, just him standing right next to it, I mean, you could really get the idea how big that is.
You could probably smell the cheese being that close.
Yeah. How about that?
Let's see here. There's also, where did it go here? A video clip from China. Yeah, I also have one of the creepiest videos I've ever seen about giants too. That's very short, but it's been around for a while. I don't know if it's ever been debunked, but it is.
Okay.
It is kind of, it's
now
eerie.
Eerie. Now you have to show it.
Oh, I'll show it.
Wow, look at that.
And hats off to Hat's Truth. I pulled this from their Telegram channel.
Wow, look at that.
But keep in mind, whoever's watching, keep in mind a lot of these discoveries are modern discoveries, like within the last 2 or 3 decades.
Wow. So they're pretty new.
Oh yeah,
They're pretty new discoveries.
Let's see, is this it? Yes, this is it. This video gave me nightmares when I first saw it. I don't remember where I saw it the first time, but this is in Japan.
Wait, is that a giant standing right
there? Right here. Look how short the arms are, and look at the neck muscles. This is just totally off the wall, but that shape reminds me of like the head coverings of the ancient Egyptian gods, like their pharaohs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind this. I don't know where or when this video was made, but it's from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But just watch the dude in the background there. Especially at the end of the video, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. I don't mean that. Freddie Mac's thinking it. This part.
Is that him?
I don't know if it's a different one or same dude or what, but it's like he can't even fit in the room, so they got to make like a little side room for him. You know?
Right.
But like I said, when I first saw this video, I don't remember how long ago it was. I looked for like 2 days for it before this show because I wanted you to see this video. This is like,
wow.
When I first saw it, it was like crazy.
Yeah, because it looks so real. Now you said, what was the date on that?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I have no idea, but it's been around for a while, and I know it's in Japan for sure.
Okay.
And I guess the wife's got a question here. Is there info on how many ribs the giants have to their rib cage? You know,
interesting.
Don't know. That might have to be another show.
Yeah, the only thing I've ever heard was about the fingers, 6 fingers on each hand.
Yeah, with some of the giants. There's we'll have to do like an alien autopsy, but for giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luann, his arms are creepy.
Yeah, you see that?
Got like little T-Rex arms. Like, I bet you don't want to get hit with one of them little T-Rex arms, though.
Not at all.
And since we're on video clips, I got one more here. Let's. Nope, sorry, wrong one. My bad.
Look, anybody want to see that again?
Show a group of scientists digging up remains of a human skeleton of gigantic proportions. Are these images real? Do we finally have the irrefutable proof?
This is what they're talking about. Is the one we just watched a little bit ago, but I guess they're going into it a little deeper.
That human giants existed?
And thank you for those that have joined. We're up to 15 now. That's the most we've ever had. Bless you guys. Dropped to 13. Must have been something I said.
I've been pushing it on Telegram.
But I want to believe that skeleton is real, just because of how the area that it's in and how well documented it's been over the years. You know, that giant skeleton with that giant serpent wrapped around it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, something draws me to that particular one. I don't know why.
I think it could be. Wow.
So we're gonna fast forward just a little bit here. But I mean, I don't know. That's pretty epic to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Kyle, thanks a lot.
It goes on. It just keeps zooming in and out. Yeah, you can really see the
ribs on.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to keep and breed reptiles, specifically monitor lizards. But I do know a lot about snakes. And when I first saw this picture, that was a legit, like a python or an anaconda or some kind of serpent of that type, with that structure, that bone structure, because they have these real soft, pliable rib cage bones
to expand.
Yep.
Like they swallow a horse or something.
But man, can you imagine? I mean, it's just I think that's area subject to the rest of it. But also in Arkansas in 1870, this was in the actual paper.
Okay.
Food for the Credulous was the title or the name of this particular. Oops, come on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says remains of a race of giants found in Arkansas. Human skeletons unearthed. I cannot. What is that? Right. What is that? Oh, 8 and 10 feet height.
Yeah. Strange
and unknown pottery relics of a former age. And then this goes on to describe the whole, the whole incident or the whole discovery. It's again from 1870. I like to try to pull things that are again pre-interweb, and 3D. Hello.
3D.
But so there's, I guess if I probably wanted to spend like a month researching this, I bet you we could find hundreds of articles that were in printed newspapers around the country, just in our country,
alone,
of this phenomenon. And it really goes to show, here's this giant pendant. I'll go into the story about that real quick. But on the right, you've got the giant holding a rod or a spear, and you've got, looks like somebody dressed up in a little helmet or something over there. And the kind of the backstory behind this. I found this out on Steve Quayle's site. For those of you that have seen any of our videos, we mentioned Steve a few times. Steve's a good guy. He does a lot of research, and if you go to his site, it takes you to other sites. And this was on one of his other sites. I want to say it was Gen 6 or something like that. But it says the pendant above is 4,500 years old and measures 3/4 inches in diameter. The giant is equal in size to some of the Sumerian pendant inscriptions. It was given to a woman's parents in Turkey by an archaeologist in 1920. The image depicts a giant, he calls it an alien, so I'm not convinced that's an alien by that picture, with an alien companion. The alien companion seems to be holding a type of wand, while the giant holds a staff and shield. The alien's headgear appears to come down over his ears and has some form of rim. Morphologically, both the alien and the giant's noses run into their skulls, and that's the thing that kind of caught me, because they always depict those giants like the nose just go right at an angle right up into the skull, like at a striking angle. Both creatures seem to have on clothing, the giant from the waist down, the alien from the neck down. It appears that this pendant commemorates a meeting between the two individuals. And it gives more info here. Places of peace and power from Nemrut Dagi, Turkey, Mount Nemrut National Park. Gosh, say that 5 times fast.
Right. Holy cow. Tongue twister.
Let's see. Kyle, just want to mention that the visual quality is off. Yeah, some of them could be.
Yeah, because it's kind of old or stuff.
It's not in high def, and when I enlarge it, sometimes it might throw it off a little bit. Also on Steve Quayle's site, this goes into the book, Giant Skeletons. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you're watching this later on down the road, just pause it and read it. But basically, it says in his book, The Natural and Aboriginal History of Tennessee, and this is what kind of led me to it again, it's another reference to the United States. Author John Haywood describes very large bones and stone graves found in Williamson County, Tennessee in 1821. In White County, Tennessee, an ancient fortification contains skeletons of gigantic stature averaging at least 7 feet in length. Well, I wouldn't say that's gigantic stature, but maybe back then, again, because we're talking about how short people were back then compared to what they are now. So 7 foot tall would probably be pretty big to some people back then.
Yeah.
But this goes on, again, if you want to pause the video and watch or read it, by all means. Let's see here. And briefly, again, this continues that, but it briefly talks about Australian giants. There was a race or group of people found in Australia called Meganthropus, however you pronounce it, by anthropologists. These people were of very large size, estimated between 7 and 12 feet tall. Depending on what source you read, these people were found with megatool artifacts. I might have to start a band that's with that name, megatool artifacts.
I know, it does sound like a band.
So their humanness is difficult to question. 4 jaw fragments and thousands of teeth have been found in China of Gigantopithecus blacki, named after the discoverer, based on the size of the teeth and deep jaws. Its size has been estimated at around 10 feet and as tall as 12 feet and 1,200 pounds. I mean, that's massive. That's massive. I mean, again, you kind of have to put this all in perspective, because perception is reality. I mean, we all know that. I mean, what we believe wholeheartedly, that what we perceive is real to us is real. And the farther back in time you go, down the lines of history, it's probably going to be a little bit of a combination of literal and figurative. If something was common in their world, whether it was a giant or whether it was Bigfoot, whatever it was in their world, they would always depict it in some way, whether it was in cave drawings, whether it was in some kind of writing or some kind of lore that was passed down from generation to generation. But they're, in my mind, and I'm pretty sure in your mind too, in my mind, there's absolute enough circumstantial evidence to qualitatively say that in some way, shape, or form, giants existed and possibly still exist today. But,
yep, I agree. I mean, it's too much evidence to say that they haven't existed.
Yes.
For one, there's well, I don't know if there's any substantial evidence to show that they still exist, but there are definitely stories. People are talking about, experiencing giants, and just being, kind of covered up. I mean, look, we have alien disclosure coming out, so I'm sure the giants will be soon after this.
Yeah, by the way, if the aliens don't work, here's the giants for you.
Here's the giants for you. Right.
Well, they're already talking. It's weird. And for those who are watching and that know Joe and I, we both believe wholeheartedly that we're in a really a substantial pivotal point in human history right now, biblically and otherwise. There's just so much going on outside of what we're talking about right now that God's hand has to be in this, Yeah. And last night before I went to bed, I'm a night person. I stay up kind of late. For whatever reason, the night is comforting to me. I like looking at the stars and the moon and stuff when it's quiet, everybody's in bed, and I'm just standing watching out the window. Yeah. But last night I was looking at the moon, and above the moon, there was this star that was huge. I mean, this star, I took a picture with my phone. I'll have to show it on the next show, but it was like disproportionately bigger than any star I've ever seen. And it was light. Well, actually, see the background behind your head there?
Yeah, I was just looking at
that star. That's kind of what it looked like when I was looking at the moon. That's kind of the relative size of it when I was looking at it. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck is that? I don't remember seeing like Jupiter or any other planet whenever it was close to Earth being that big. It's funny because on one of my Telegram feeds, and we know how truthful and how great of news that TMZ has. Yeah. But it's weird because TMZ put out something, somebody posted this, that scientists are claiming that they've seen a giant asteroid heading to Earth.
Yeah. I saw that in on a news headliner as well online. I think it was on Yahoo or something like that.
Yeah, it was Yahoo, but it was TMZ's the one that was claiming they knew somebody that said that there's a giant asteroid heading our way. So I thought immediately, TMZ, that's a gold mine of information there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just thought it was weird that it tied in with what I saw last night. Like, what if it? Because you remember the movie Armageddon?
Yes.
Like when people were looking up out in the sky, and you could see it off in the distance, and nobody really, it just looked like a star that was kind of glowing a little bit.
Right.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. It's like, man, should I be finding a bunker in New Zealand or something?
Right.
Something I should know about.
Go underground, yeah, something.
But man, we could go on all day about giants, but we've agreed to try to keep some of these, or most of these shows, around an hour. So
yeah,
so you guys keep engaged, and so you can.
We may have to extend this a little bit because.
Well, we can, as Jen Psaki says, we can circle back to this.
Yeah, we'll circle back to it. It'd be good.
But for all of you that are watching right now, or that will be watching, we really want your participation. When this video is over, there'll be a link to our Telegram channel, the Rumble channel.
Yes.
There'll also be an email address. If you have any stories or anything, email us, drop us a line. If you have suggestions or ideas for future shows or subjects that you're interested in, by all means, throw it in the email or even in the chat or whatever. We want to hear from you, and we don't want to make this a one-sided echo chamber, as it were. Let's see, Luann. Let's see.
Oh, Telegram, yes.
So both Joe and I do have Telegram channels, and we also have one together for this show. And I'll put all of those in the links to this show after it's done.
Yeah, but if you just want to search it, it's called Exploring the Matrix. If you search that, should come up on Telegram. But we'll have the link in the description as well. Yeah. But
my personal Telegram has nothing to do with this show.
Yeah.
So it's called Over the Target with Johnny Patriot, and that's a whole separate show that I do. And but I want to keep the Telegram for this show solely focused on tinfoil hat kind of stuff, X-Files, fringy kind of things. So if you want to join that channel,
is it Over the Target podcast? Is that your channel?
Yes, I think that's what it's called on Telegram.
Okay.
Yeah. Should have the image should be like of an angel with wings with a shield and sword, and so yes. Okay. But we do encourage participation. We don't want this to be an echo chamber. We want to talk about things that interest you. I mean, we obviously have a lot of interests ourselves, and there's some things that we could probably talk about for hours, or even have multiple episodes for hours, but we want to have content that you're interested in, and the weirder the better, especially if it's something we may not know a whole lot about. They'll force us to do a little research or something, and but with these shows we try, and that's why I love having Joe as a co-host, is that we want to try to add a biblical element to these topics as well. Mm-hmm. And so with that in mind, keep participating, keep showing up. And we've had the most people watching at one time on this show, and I bless all of you for that. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Tell your friends, subscribe, and we typically go on Mondays or Tuesdays, sometimes a Wednesday, but usually Mondays or Tuesdays, and it's generally at 7:00. Any final thoughts, Mr. Joe?
Well, I want to piggyback on what you just said. Usually a lot of the weird, quote unquote, weird stuff that people will call weird, a lot of it actually stems from the Bible. And that's the reason why, when John asked me to come on the show with him and, bring that biblical side, it's like, oh, goody, I get to talk about the weird stuff in the Bible, because a lot of the weird stuff comes from the Bible.
Because you're not going to get it in church.
You're not going to get it in church. I mean, this is where you're going to get the realness, and giants were in the Bible. I mean, you got extraterrestrials, aliens, whatever you want to call it. It's all there. So, it's like, just, I want everybody to understand that a lot of the weird stuff is actually found in the Bible.
including bullies.
Yeah. Big bullies. How about
That's
that?
right. Big bullies.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is true. And this is what we want to bring to you guys. We just want to bring truth. You know, like John said, you know, we like to do our research as well. We like to study and do our research, and we don't know it all, but we would love to share what we do know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. Let's see, Kyle. Just thank you for being brave and having courage to publicly speak about these truth subjects. Much respect. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Joe appreciates it.
Yes.
And the best thing that anybody could do is tell their friends, you know, and encourage other people to watch if you think people would be interested. We're trying to do our show a little differently than maybe other shows you might see on the internet or on YouTube or whatever. Hopefully, you know, it'll keep people interested and engaged. And I personally like engagement. Like if I'm watching a YouTube video, it's nice to see the information and it's nice to learn, but I like the interaction. I like seeing, you know, how a conversation turns by somebody posing a question. And so there you go.
Yes, let's get the interaction going.
All right, guys, fellow explorers, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll post all the links in the video when it's done, and follow those channels so you can get the latest information as far as when shows are and schedules, you know, that kind of thing. Also during the week, we pop some random things in there that we may not do a show about, but it's just kind of cool. And again, we try to keep it like on that fringy science / tinfoil hat kind of side. So most of the other channels are kind of politically or whatever motivated. This particular channel is not that. So, So if you find any weird stuff, throw them in the channel. It's an invite only link. So when you click the link in the description of the video, like the only way you can join is by that link. Like you can't just pop on and join the group. So share. Love you guys. Thank you, Joe, so much for being here again. I appreciate it, my brother.
Yes, it's a pleasure as usual.
I will talk to you soon, my friend, and I look forward to hopefully seeing all you guys in the future. So God bless you, and thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening on this. It is a beautiful day here in Cleveland anyway. So wherever you're at, I hope you're.
Yeah, same here in New Jersey. Shout out to everybody in New Jersey.
So thank you very much. And see what's the wife got to say here. Thanks, dudes. Good shows. I'm interested in doppelgangers. That's not a common one. From the past to our lookalikes to people now. That might be a good one.
A lot of that going on.
Might be a good one. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Love you all. See you soon.